Hello, this is Emily. Welcome back to my channel. And with the year coming to a close, I figured it's time to do another unhaul video to get rid of some unwanted books that either I tried reading in DNF, I lost interest in, or I read and don't think I'm ever going to get around to rereading. So it's time to clear out my shelf some so I can make room for new books. So let's hop right on into that video and get going. I have True Biz by Sarah Novick. This one I actually did read and it was enjoyable. However, it's one I don't think I'm ever actually going to reread again, though I do recommend it if you want to check it out. The next is a whole series, which is the Diabolic series by S.J. Kincaid. The Diabolic and its sequel, The Nemesis, were really strong. Unfortunately, The Empress just was a miss, and I really did not like the way it ended up wrapping up the series. So unfortunately, it kind of ruined the whole series for me. So I probably won't ever actually reread the whole series its entirety, knowing the way it ends. So unfortunately, I am unhauling these, though the first two books are really strong. And I would recommend checking out this series, and you might actually like the ending better than I did. Unfortunately, I did not. Another one I'm unhauling is A History of Wild Places by Shaya Earnshaw. This one I actually did enjoy reading, and I think I gave it like 3.5 or 4 stars when I did read it this past year. However, it's not one I'm actually going to feel the need to reread because it's kind of a mystery thriller. So once you know how it ends, there's no point rediscovering the mystery again because now I know what's going to happen. So it kind of defeats the purpose. However, I really was enjoying this whole time I read, and it did keep me captivated throughout. So I would recommend reading this one. Enchante is one I was excited for when it came out, and then I kind of waited a while and found it on clearance and bought it, and then it just kind of sat for a while, and I never got around to reading it. I've heard some mixed reviews, and then that kind of, I guess, deterred me from it, and I just wasn't in the mood for historical fantasy on top of that. So I'm getting rid of it, and hopefully someone else will love it since I never actually read it. The Revenge of Magic is another TBR vet that I kind of impulse bought and never actually read and kind of lost interest in it. And I don't really think I feel like wanting to read it. I know it's a middle grade, and so I'm sure some younger kid will find some joy in it. I just wasn't in the mood for this middle grade, so I'm getting rid of it. One Summer is a graphic novel I read earlier this year, and it was all right. It's not one I'm going to reread, and it's a coming of age story between two young girls and their summer they spend in this small town. And I thought it was really gripping and stuff, but it's, again, not one I want to reread, but I would recommend it. Anya's Ghost is one I actually did read, and it was a nice little quirky supernatural read. However, I don't think I'm ever going to reread it, so I want to get rid of it, and maybe someone else will enjoy it. Fruit was an impulse buy for me, and I was wanting to read it, and then I just kind of lost interest in it, and it's just sat on my shelf forever. So I'm going to get rid of it because I just don't care to read it anymore. Magic Mutant Nightmare Girl was another impulse for me. I thought the cover was really quirky when I saw it and sounded interested, and then I read about 2 or 3 pages of it, and I just didn't like the writing. So it's going in my unhaul pile because I don't think I'm ever actually going to physically read it, but I think it'll be a book that younger teens would probably really enjoy because it does have a very juvenile writing style. The Emperor's Blades, I believe, is the first in a fantasy series, and it's sat on my shelf for quite some time, and I have so many other like high fantasies I do need to get around to reading, so I just going to get rid of this one because I don't want to start another fantasy series when I have so many others to finish. So it's going off my shelves, and maybe someone else will pick it up and fall in love with it. Rita Penguindrum 2, and I also have the first volume. I just don't know where it is in my house right now, but I did try reading the first one of this and got about, I think, the first part through, and I just could not get into the writing style. So I am getting rid of both of these. It's just the other one's imaginary right now because it is lost and buried under a whole bunch of stuff, and I don't know where it's buried. I read Son of the Storm, and I thought it started out really strong, and then by the middle, it just kind of dragged on and on and on, and I just didn't care by the time I got to the ending to continue on with the series. So that's why I'm getting rid of it. I mean, I did start it out enjoying it, and then it was kind of a meh for me, but maybe someone else will enjoy this one. I'm getting rid of the Rogue King and the Blood King. I've read the Rogue King and did enjoy it. However, I tried picking up the Blood King, and I just couldn't get into the series again, and so I'm getting rid of both of these because there's no point keeping them, because I don't think I'm ever going to actually reread this one, and I couldn't finish this one, so it's going away. Storm is a middle grade. I did read it, and it was okay. However, it wasn't gripping enough for me to continue on with the follow-ups in the series, though I think a middle grade or younger teen would thoroughly enjoy this series because it is geared more towards them. I'm getting rid of The Witcher series. I started out reading the first 2 short novels, like story collections, and unfortunately I couldn't really get into them because I just didn't care for the writing style, and then this box set just has sat on my shelves for years, and I've never picked up the first book to continue on, and I don't think I ever will. So we're going to get rid of it because I just didn't mesh well with his writing style. I did enjoy the show, the first season at least, but then I just kind of lost interest in watching the show too. So let's just get rid of these. The Prince was a thrift store find for me, and I don't think I'm ever actually going to get around to reading it, nor do I really care to read it anymore, so I'm going to get rid of it. The Blue Sword is another thrift find for me, and it's just sat on my shelves for several months, and I never got around to picking it up, nor do I think I ever will, and so I'm going to unhaul it and hope someone else will find joy in it. Although Kingdom is one I did read, it was a meh read for me. I know there's follow-ups and sequels, however, I don't think I'm going to read the sequel, so I'm not going to hold on to this one, though it is a very interesting tale since we are seeing a story told from a crow's perspective during a zombie apocalypse. I'm going to get rid of The Faithful and the Falling series. I read the first book and just couldn't get into the writing style or the story, so unfortunately I don't really feel like continuing on with the rest of the series, and I don't think there's any point with them sitting on my shelves. Unfortunately, I hate getting rid of a whole series without giving it a try, especially because this was gifted to me. But I just need more shelf space, and I know I'm not going to continue on if I didn't love the first one. I'm going to get rid of Stephen King's Dolores Claiborne. I read it, and I did enjoy it. However, I don't think I'm going to reread it. It's one of my lesser faves I've read of his. And Stephen King, I mean, he's hit or miss for me. The ones I do enjoy, I do keep. But however, the ones I don't, I just get rid of. Strange Practice is another one I'm getting rid of. I read it and it was a meh read for me, so unfortunately there's no point of me keeping this book because I don't think I'm ever going to reread it, and maybe someone else will love it because I just didn't care much for it. A World Below was one I DNF'd about halfway through. I tried to read it and I picked it up several times. I just couldn't get into the story, and therefore I'm getting rid of it. However, I'm sure some teenager or younger, like middle schooler, will enjoy it because it is geared more towards that genre, and middle grade is kind of a hit or miss for me. Either I really love the story or I just think these kids are stupid, they're acting dumb, and where are the adults? The Blue Cat of Castletown is another one I'm getting rid of. I actually thought it was going to be more substance than what it is. And so I don't think I'm actually going to enjoy reading because I'm sure this is geared more towards children. And so the writing might put me to sleep because it'll be very, very simple. Getting rid of Trigger Warning by Neil Gaiman, which is a collection of short stories. This is another one that has sat on my shelf for years and I've never picked up. One, it's because I'm not a big short story person. So that's probably the main reason. Even though I do love Neil Gaiman's writing, I just don't care to read short stories, so let's get rid of it and someone else will probably enjoy it more than me. I'm getting rid of my Barnes and Noble's edition of Shakespeare's King Lear. This is one of his plays I did read, but it's probably one of my lesser fave plays. Plus, I don't care much for this edition because it doesn't match the rest of my Shakespeare editions. So I'm going to get rid of it, and maybe one day I will re-pick up King Lear and the matching editions of the books I do have, so my shelves look more cohesive. I'm getting rid of Burn by Suzanne Wright. This is another TBR that sat on my shelves for quite some time. It was kind of an impulse buy, and then I tried to pick it up, and then I just couldn't get past the first couple pages, and then I tried it again a couple times in the same issue. So maybe someone else will enjoy this. Unfortunately, I could not get into it, so I'm getting rid of it. The last book I'm getting rid of is A Game of Fate by Scarlett St. Clair. This is one I read and I really wanted to love because so many people raved about this series. Unfortunately, I just didn't feel there was much depth to it. Yes, there was a lot of erotic scenes and stuff. However, there was no depth to the characters, so it just felt like I was reading a cheap porno instead of an actual love story. So unfortunately, this is being unhauled, and I will not be continuing on with the series. Well, I guess that's it for today's video. I am getting rid of quite a few books, but I do need to make more space on my shelves, and hopefully this will help. There are still quite a bunch of books that I do have. It's just I don't want to get rid of them because I love them so much, but at least I was able to part with some. And that is progress. But I guess I will see you guys in my next video. And thank you guys for watching. And don't forget to like or subscribe if you enjoyed this video.